Hey chat, how are we doing today? So currently I have actually finished the catch assignment, at least as far as I'm concerned I've finished it. And I currently have it rendering in the background, not on this computer because, Christ, I would not be able to get stream done if I'd done that, but thankfully I do have some of the render nodes up and running doing the rendering for me. We're currently... Okay, so I started rendering at about... I would like to say around about 12 o'clock. So it's currently 3:36. And so far I have 37 full frames of animation out of 580. So this is probably going to take a while. So in the meantime, I might as well do some other animation related shenanigans. We have more balls to work with. More specifically, we have a basketball, a soccer ball, and a bowling ball, and we are going to have to get these things to bounce correctly. So, I think obviously the first one I want to start with is the basketball. Put that down, switch this over to the graph editor, and let's get this going. So, the only thing that we need currently, in terms of actual animation stuff. So this one here, we only need to keyframe the Z axis because we're not moving these, we're not rolling them, we're not doing anything like that. We're just dropping them, bouncing them so they look like they're naturally bouncing, and that's all this assignment is. And if I get this done in a relatively quick amount of time, I can go back to doing the Spyro stuff that I was doing a couple weeks ago. So, first of all I need to pick a point where these are going to start from. So I think probably around about here. Go 5.2 maybe? Actually, you know what? I rely too much on precise numbers, so I'm not going to do that this time around. I am, however, I'm going to quickly do what is essentially a little cheating. I'm going to grab this, I'm going to extrude this down slightly. And the reason that I'm doing this is going to become apparent in a bit, but not right this second. So, there is, just hide all those. So that's in the scene collection, get rid of that for now. So, first thing we have to work on is this basketball. Now, what have I done here? I thought this was keyframe to be... Probably help if I was actually in pose mode to see what was going on. Oh right, I haven't done auto keying or anything like that. So turn that on, only active set, and then switch the set to available. I really want to, at some point, move the key. Like, I want to mess around with keyframe types, but we're not going to be doing that right now. So, move this up. Probably around about here. Now, let's go save 10 frames later. And Alt-G. And then I think maybe 20 frames later for the first one. So I want to do this. Now what I can do is I can actually check how much, like basically how high this is. So that is roughly, I'd say that's about 50%, no? Actually, no, it's probably closer to... So that's 50, so I probably want to have it down a bit. So if this is 50%, we're roughly halfway between the two. Probably want to have it round about there. And then... best. I'm not good with these zoom controls. Shows a way to scale this a little bit more effectively. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I might want to set this back a couple of frames. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alt G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just keep doing this until I've got pretty reasonable bounce going on. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that. 1, 2, 3. 3. Alright, let's start with these first, and then we can do additional bounces on the end. Alright, all of these down the bottom here. And again, just turn them to backhand cut. So, did I turn on Simplify? I don't think I did. So let's just turn Simplify on for now. Also, I found out, right, chat, and this kind of miffs me a smidge. Apparently, if I just turned Simplify off when I was doing the material, like the materials and material preview mode, none of that shit with the stream would have happened, as it turns out. Okay, so I feel like the upwards bounce is too floaty, but that's fine. I can make these a little bit sharper. Also, I probably want the end frame to be like 60 instead of 100. Wait, this is... I'm just checking. This is on 24 frames per second, right? Yep. Okay, good. Because I know I did 30 frames per second for the other animation, hence why it's 580 frames. So let's scale this in the X. And then scale this. Now I just need to grab this. I want to have it roughly be similar. And then scale this. So there's a curved parabola at the top. Because while I do think there's slightly too much hang time, I do know that that could be more due to my computer than the actual animation. Okay, that's not too bad. So now I just have to scale these two. And then scale this. Probably a bit too rounded. In fact, do I think this is too short? No, I don't think so, actually. Let's just give it a try first. Okay, it's definitely hanging in the air too much, so I think maybe the frames on this needs to be slightly quicker. 1 frame there. 1 frame there. Adjust the scale on the X just a bit. Because the idea is to have like the same rough shape between all of these. So that's rounded, all that. Okay, so this one. So my eyes are picking up and balls. Hey Foxy, how are you doing? Yeah, I more or less made the stream title be like that just to be funny at this point. And the Discord joke even more so. See you're having a good time rolling over there. Hope you're having a good day. So make that a bit sharper. Make that rounded a bit more. I think that's probably good. Okay, I learned something rather interesting today, and this is going to be relevant to the current animation I'm doing. I just played Monster Hunter Wilds for a bit. Man, good thing Wern isn't here, otherwise she'd be yapping your ear off about it. I learned today that bowling balls can apparently bounce. I thought it was one of those situations where if you dropped a bowling ball, it would just, like, thunk on the ground and, like, maybe a tiny bounce. But, like, I looked it up because this is relevant to what I'm doing here with this one. Apparently, they do in fact bounce. I'm just like, huh? Like, I have never seen somebody drop a bowling ball and actually have it bounce. Okay, so grab these two. Like that. Lamau? Yeah, Foxy's just laughing. It's just like, oh, you sweet sheltered child. I'm just like, for real, I have never seen an instance where a bowling ball has legitimately bounced. And I've been in quite a few bowling alleys. Okay, I think maybe the intake on this one needs to be slightly sharper. I think it probably needs to be 8 frames instead of... Actually, does this need to be 8 frames? Because I know the instructor initially had it at 15, but I feel like that's just too long. Why is there circus music? Why are you calling me a clown? I'm just trying to do my work. Please, Playlist, stop bullying me. Oh, trust me, she instantly pinged me in her server as soon as she saw me launch the game, Lamau. The Lamau was to add to the part of what I sent, since I forgot to put it at the end of the message, but that works too, yep. Yeah, it's dual purpose. You get to laugh at Wern instantly pinging you for playing Monster Hunter Wilds, and you get to laugh at me for being called a clown by my own music playlist. Alright, so... maybe I do move this over slightly. So, like, maybe 2 frames. Maybe the first drop is actually too fast, and that's what's pinging me. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. Although, this one here could stand to be just a little bit shorter. So, and then actually Y. Because see how this one's actually plateauing up the top here, and this is still actually above halfway, so pull that down below that amount. And then SX and scale these as well, because I do want to have that rounded top there. My boyfriend gifted me the game for my birthday since he owns it and wanted me to try it out myself. That's honestly quite sweet of him. He wants to play it with me? Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know why, but I feel like Monster Hunter Wilds is one of those games you probably shouldn't be playing with a significant other. I don't know much about the game, but I do know there's probably some resource-related thing that would probably have couples, like, at each other's throats, more or less. Okay, cool. So I think that looks relatively decent. Now I just need to add a couple more frames onto the end. I totally wasn't on the character editor for like 2 whole hours. I feel like anything that has a character editor begets a 2 whole hour situation. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to 1, 2, and 1, 2. I'm going to add a keyframe here, but I'm not going to... hang on. I believe if I press I and only active B curve. Wait, hang on, I need to... AI and only select. Here we go. So it's going to be a bit unorthodox, the fact that I've got this here. What I can actually do is I can G and Y these. Also, I need to make sure that this is vector. So the idea is to have like a small, like a couple more small bounces at the very bottom. So you see how, like, want me to show you my character? Yeah, sure. I'm all for seeing it. So the point is, like, after this one, after it hits here, it's going to, like, do the very low bounce thing a couple of times before it comes to a complete stop. So I'm going to have this last one the basically 3 frames into total. So 1, space, 1, and then this is the last keyframe. So if I insert keyframe here and G, actually make sure this is vectors. So G the Y and the very barest of bounces there. So now if I go from here, I can do this. 1, 2, 3. I can probably set this to frame 80 now. It will just give me a little bit of buffer space at the end so I can basically fully take in the animation. There you go, thank you, Foxy. What have you said, babe? Honestly, I am surprised, like, how accurate you made this to, like, your not Minecraft, your Robloxian OC. Because, like, yeah, that would be what I'd imagine your Roblox character would look like as an actual human. So, I mean, like, congratulations on making an accurate rendition of your character. And your Palico, which is, I assume, to be a clone of Shadow. Name after Jesse. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, so I think I might want to make the top arcs. Well, actually, no. I think the top arcs are fine. I'm not going to think too much on this for now. I'm just going to do all the balls as accurately as possible. And then just leave it for the rest of the evening. I'm going to check quickly. That was the hard part. I couldn't decide if I want the Palico to be Jesse or Shadow. I mean, understandable. So, I'm going to quickly check the cloud for the animation files. And we're currently on frame 39 out of 580. I mean, it's my fault for using CPUs specifically for rendering, but I'd say they're supposed to be better for animation. They're supposed to be more accurate when it comes to ray tracing. But I went ahead and went with Jesse since he's the OG. He deserves the love. Fair enough. I do not blame you whatsoever. Okay, so I think that's good enough for the basketball for now. So what I'm going to do, and why I have this plane here, is I'm going to scale this in the X. Just make sure it goes across the entire screen. And I'm going to G and then Z. I'm going to line it up with the bottom of this basketball here. Like, I'm going to really line it up. And now, one of the things of the assignment, and something that needs to be said, especially when it comes to animations like this, everything falls at the same speed. barring wind resistance. Everything falls at the same speed because that's what Earth's gravity does. Like, if in a vacuum, if you drop a feather in a bowling ball, they fall at the same speed. Also, yeah, I was making sure to make him look as close to my OC as possible when making my character. Yeah, that sounds about right for you. So, all of these, not only do they have to drop from the same height, like their bottoms have to drop from the same height, they also have to hit the ground the first time on the same frame. So, just insert single keyframe for the Z. He looks so depressed. Who, the OC or the Pelico? Yeah, I know it's the OC, but... I mean, to be fair... art takes the form of life, I guess? So, like, I think that's more of a tell on yourself than the character, huh? At the same time, he looks ready to fight. Yeah, I think that's half the course, isn't it? I did... Okay, there's the keyframe there. So, on frame 12 is when this contacts the ground. So I'm going to Alt-G. And that's going to be fine. Now for this one, I think the first one was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 7 frames in between where it hits its apex on this side. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it hits the apex on frame 8. So this one... How far do I want the... Actually, just do this. So I want this to be a lot smaller. So I want this to be at probably like 30%. So eyeballing it, that's probably about a third. If that one on the left is 40, this one's probably going to be slightly lower than that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 7. Alt-G on this frame, so it hits the ground. The one nitpick I have, though, it wouldn't let me change the color of the pupil, and I really wanted to make this his right eye just pure white because he's blind in the eye, but unfortunately there's no way of doing that. Also, not to be that person, but having a white eye to indicate blindness is a bit unrealistic. Source me. But, like, I mean, understandable. They really don't let you change the color of your pupils, though. Like, you'd think there would be an eye toggle or something. Like, one that allows you to... have, like, one individual eye or both or all that. Nope, I tried. Understandable. So, instead of this being 7 frames, I maybe want to make this... 5 frames? 1, 2... 1, 2... Yeah, so then this one... 1, 2, 3, 4... Another thing I found odd was the fact that there wasn't an air editor. Really? Like, of all... Like, I get that maybe the ears are going to be hidden behind their hair for most of the game, but... That seems rather odd. Especially, considering, I believe Palworld has most of those, functions, right? Like, I know Palworld doesn't allow for pupil coloring, but I know it, has the ability to change the pupils to be white in the middle. even if it is for both eyes and not just one. Okay, so I'm going to change all of this to be vectored for just a moment. Yeah, I couldn't find anything for the ears. That's a little bit bizarre because, like, especially considering the fact that I can see your character has short hair and the ears are quite clearly visible, you would think that they would allow you to change the ear type in some capacity. But at the same time, I do understand that, like, the more custom additions that you add to the character editor, be it like body scalers, different types of ears, different types of eyes, noses, all that sort of thing, the more complex it's going to be, and like the more that you really have to keep an eye on the coding for it. So then this one, two. I'm just going to actually add a keyframe here. And then 1, 2, Alt G. 1, 2. It actually needs to be moved on 1 frame. There we go. Oh well, it's okay. I managed to make him look like my OC either way. I mean, fair enough. As long as you manage to get your OC, that's all that matters. And then for, like, this last bit here. So this one... probably here. Insert keyframe. You can see both of those. And then for one last one, so 1, 2. So there's going to be one gap in between. Insert that one. Also, I forgot to change these to probably free handles. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change that back. I'm going to change this to be vectored. And Y. 1, and then add a keyframe in here. Change this to be vectored. And then very slightly pull this up. You're probably like, Cyclonic, why even bother? That's like such a small detail. It's going to matter in the end. Alright, I think that's okay. Now, the first thing I need to do, and this is going to be important. So when these are falling, you see how they're falling at different speeds? I want to stop it from doing that. So I'm going to Shift D, move this down to here. Now if I pose this, what I can do is I can go to whatever frame this one. So that's... okay, I think I might have put it in the wrong position. That's fine. So we can do it like this. Now, for this I want to scale. Actually, I'll scale these two first. So I'll scale this one. Just G and X. So it's roughly around about there. And scale this in the X. So now it's falling at roughly the same rate. Now that's actually falling a bit slow. So I want to make this steeper. Actually, maybe I want to scale the top one just a bit more. And then grab this one. So now it's hitting on the same frames. And like, I know I don't need to do this, technically speaking, I don't need to do it just by eye. I could like basically normalize this and have it bounce. Like, that's not the point of this exercise. The point is to get better at being able to see the discrepancies between the two. So you see this, how this one actually falls a bit sooner. So that tells me I need to scale this back in this way just a bit. So in this one, it's like almost there. I just want to scale this in the X just slightly smaller. Just a smidge. So now that's falling at the same speed. It's going to hit the ground at the same time, and then it's going to bounce differently depending on fall. Also, can I just say, I think this is the first time I've ever actually been able to change the voice of my character, not including Sims 4, and actually hear him speak. When I heard him speaking full sentences, I melted, so I'm not gonna lie. I'm in love with my character's voice, and I ain't afraid to say it. Anyway, enough of that. Foxy, do I need to get the spray bottle again? Do I need to get the spray bottle? Why are you like this? Why? Maybe. Yeah, okay, I'm definitely going to need the spray bottle after the stream. And it's probably going to need to be filled with holy water too at that. Oh, hey, at least you have the hammer to bonk yourself with. I'm going to sharpen that, scale this out. Actually, maybe this seems just a little bit too... Okay, so if I do that, and I compare it to this one. Okay, the arcs aren't actually that much different. I was gifted randomly to Creek of all people. Wait, is that a Creek emote? Oh my god, it is a Creek emote, huh? Actually, I didn't even notice it used a Creek emote earlier. Why are you sullying Creek's reputation with your interests? Is the politest way I could word this. So, scale these out a bit. Just the goddamn oh no. Oh, you just realized you done goofed, huh? Okay, that's not too bad. I mean, cease Foxy. What would Creek think of this? Actually, I'm gonna go one step further. What do you think Charles would think of that? His emotes express how I feel. Understandable. I mean, to be fair, it does seem that Creek has a relatively wide range of emotes to use. X. So if I'm actually gonna do this a bit. Just so I can see the curvature just a smidge better. So I can tell this one actually does need to be scaled just slightly. Okay, so that has roughly... Alright, that is the scale that I want. Creek would say your mom doesn't love you, your dad left you, your grandma hates you, and you're gonna grow up to be Adam Sandler. I wish I could come up with nearly as a succinct insult as that. I wish I could. Like, I wish I had the visceral, verbal baseball bat that Creek has. Okay, so that looks relatively good. So if I do this now... Okay, that's not too bad. Ain't no way he's got an emote called Riz. Oh, please no. Please, Foxy, please. I beg you, please don't. Okay, I think this is out. Where's the goddamn circus music? I did just... Actually, you know what? No, this requires something a bit stronger. Where is it? Can't believe I have to pull this out. Foxy, you forced me to do this. Why do you feel the need to use these? Why do you feel the need to come into my stream and just be like this? Why? Anyway, enough of that. I had to pause my entire stream music for that. The song is called Stall but Vibrato. And, like, I've had this, like, basically bookmarked for several years now. I've had that be a thing since... I had it as a soundboard item originally when I was doing Critical SMP. And I've just never used it. This is like the first time in probably like almost 4 years that I've actually deigned to use that particular song. And I just felt it to be appropriate for the current situation at hand. Okay, so I just need to add a slight... maybe just a dip on this one? Alright, so if I scale those out... I think that's okay. I can never quite be sure with the animations. But, yeah, I didn't let the track go on, but the flute is very blatantly obvious in that particular track. And, like, if I ever let the music get that far, you know you're done goofed. Okay, now, I need to... Where is it?
Rolling.
Okay. Anyway, check out the emote of his that resembles me so much. I love the fact that he has old as an emote. Like, he embraces the fact that he is. But, like, for real, I didn't realize that bowling balls actually bounced. And that tends to lose quite a fair bit of height. In fact, I'd say that's only, like, 10% of the original bounce height. Like, the only way for me to actually check is... where is it? So, like, from here... So, like, this bounce first. So, it starts here. And then... like, basing off of that... Yeah, it seems to lose, like, pretty much, like, 20% of its height at any given moment, which sounds about right for something that heavy. Alright, let's give it a swing. That's gonna... Usually it would complain about the fact that there's no keyframe. Okay, so now this one needs to be lowered a bit. So they all start at the same spot. Oh yeah, they bounce. I would know because whenever I would throw them at the pins, it would bounce. Like, really? I don't know if like the floor of my local bowling alley is dead or what. Been bowling many times. Yeah, I have been too. I've not ever seen an instance where somebody has like dropped a bowling ball from like shoulder or chest height and actually had it bounce. So I don't know if the wooden floors in my particular bowling alley are dead, like dead zones or something like that, but I've never seen an instance of that happening, at least I don't think. And if I have, I've just never really paid attention, I suppose. I suppose that's the thing with animation, it forces you to pay attention to things you otherwise normally wouldn't. Okay, so frame 12. Like, if I really cared enough about the logistics of this animation, I would calculate how far it would take something to fall within this time frame. So, like... So, if it's 9.8 meters per second. In fact, I think it's 9.8 meters per second squared. Yeah. Gravity. Let's see. Divided by G. Yeah, I know that, but we're gonna need something a little bit more specific here. Yeah. So meters per second squared. So in order for it to drop that, like from there, so it would be around about. Well, first of all, I'll just get rid of that. So for this, right? If it was falling from 5.2 meters, it would take half a second to hit the floor. Considering the fact this is 24 frames per second, I am like 90% certain that this is accurate to how fast it would fall under Earth gravity. So this would reasonably hit the ground within 12 frames. I'd say you never really notice because it's very quick and brief, because most of the time when you bowl, you get as close to the ground as you can to let it slide in the direction you throw, if you get what I mean. Yeah, I get it. I suppose, like, especially if you're already starting from basically on the ground, like, the bounces would be very minimal, but like maybe 2 bounces at most, and very tiny at that, because you're like, at best, you're probably bowling from like 30 centimeters high off the ground at most. And that's being generous. Like, maybe slightly higher if you're like 6'5" or something like that, like particularly tall, but otherwise, like, you wouldn't be really seeing bounces from that height. So I guess, like, either I didn't notice or my bowling alley is a severe dead zone that needs to be investigated. Alright, so. As for me, I tend to yeet it instead of roll it. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the bowling alley just hates to see you coming. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna say 5 frames for this one. So I'm gonna say it loses roughly about 20% of its original height. Which, if I check this, I think that's around about 20%. That's how I knew. Of course you would know this, because you literally yeet the ball instead of rolling the damn thing. More often than not, at my local bowling alley, I see people use the guided bowling, like the rails. Like, a lot of people tend to use those, like, more so than they probably should. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe just grab this frame. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Alt G. And then, like, this one obviously is going to have a lot less of a bounce to it. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to say 3 frames for this one. And then 1, 2, 3. There's 3, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4 frames around. But yeah, like, I'll probably end up doing this multiple times over, like, continuing streams. I also want to do another round of the rolling animation. Because now I know what the instructor was talking about when he said that my animation was slipping. I now understand what he's talking about, vaguely. So 1, 2, insert keyframe. And I wonder why I'm always shit at bowling. Yeah, like, put on the fucking clown makeup, Foxy. Like, you're not really fooling anyone here, mate, I'm gonna be honest. So, insert keyframe here. So that one's definitely going to be keyframe, and then the rest of them I can just do the and then I can just do the keyframe with bounce. I'm a clown, what can I say? Yeah, you absolutely are. Like, I love you, Foxy, but my god, are you a clown sometimes. Like, never mind being the clown, you're the entire circus. So, one get there, 3, and then one more keyframe here to measure. And now all of this is going to become vector handles. But to be fair, there are much weirder circuses in town at the moment. There's a whole damn carnival out here. That should be about 20%. I don't think your circus is going to be the most looked at the moment, given the current state of the world. So, I feel like that's quite... Like, that's bouncing almost as many times, rather, as the soccer ball. So I think maybe I remove this set here. And just have this one be the final. Have this one be the final one here. Alright, so maybe this will work better. Okay, I think that works. What do we think, chat? Like, obviously I've still got to do some work on the bounce for this one. And I also need to work on making sure that these are dropping at the same rate. So, if I pull this back up, this needs to be scaled X. And then it's gonna continue on here, which is what this thing is gonna be for. Also, I just realized the soccer ball is also not in the correct position. Alright, so that should be... then the ball's actually moved up here. So that needs to be scaled back. Probably around about there. It's like... it's not really aligning... because, like, if I'm... do I have to break out the fucking ruler for this? I swear to God. So, like, yeah, that's actually definitely much higher than the other ones. Okay, it's probably a bit better. But then, like, it's almost at this one by the time that it gets there, so... maybe this needs to be steepened just slightly. Alright, now it's falling at roughly the same rate. Alright, cool. So scale these out, scale this one out. Scale these. Scale that. And then scale these ones out. Hopefully we should have popcorn time. Are you expecting me to get into trouble, Foxy, or are you just having a snack? Because personally, when it comes to theatre food, nothing can beat a real good pizza. Okay, it's like not too bad. Just me while watching? Fair enough. I didn't think that my content was really snack worthy, so to speak. I was always thought I was more of a, you know, thing you put on to bore you to sleep type of deal. Okay, so I'm going to say that's roughly good. And the reason why I'm going to do this is because I am going to finish this one for today, step away from it for the time being, and then come back to it later and have another attempt at it, basically, is what the idea is. So I'm going to have multiple versions of this going on. Where is my collection file? Track animation. Cool. Alright, so I forget the fact I have my desktop enabled sometimes when I start stream. That's usually not what I want to do, but hey, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Alright, so open up this and go back to this. Hey, now just because I fell asleep at those few times doesn't mean that it was because of you. It's because of me exhausting myself beforehand. It's not really a comment towards like people like you or anyone else actually legitimately falling asleep while I am streaming. It is because that, like, as somebody who's doing art and not games, I'm not yelling and screaming as much, so people like you know, they can listen to me without having to worry about being woken up by a jump scare, you know? Two exercises. 1.0, and we're going to be going back to this. Okay, allow execution because it is going to be important to set the ball type a bit. Set this to 1 so I can just do the animation. So, squash and root can go for now. Alright, time for another attempt at this hoop snatch. G and X. You know what's really funny to me, chat? And like, I don't think the instructor believes me when I said this, but y'all just know for a fact this happened. So when I was doing this rolling ball assignment the first time around, like the very first set of assignments, because I have like 4 copies of this now. This will be the 5th one. The first time around, I realized that using a specific set of tools in Blender, I could actually cheese the assignment and it would look basically perfect. And I'm just like, maybe I shouldn't do that. I'd say the main reason I fall asleep is because I feel relaxed and just trying to chill. That's the point. Chillness is indeed the reason why I'd want to do this. Now, time to get down to business. This stupid goddamn ball, I swear to Christ. Okay, so make sure these are set to 0. Make sure I insert not all the keyframes, just the single one is fine. And then obviously the X rotation is going to be important too. So insert single, actually that's the wrong part of rotation, but we'll get to that in a minute. So set up the auto. Okay, yep. So set up auto, only active, and oh, now go 80 frames later. So I'll just turn on simplify here. Do I want this to be any faster? No, I think 80 frames is fine. Time to go get some, be right back. Alright, take your time. Alright, now. Set the ball type to, I believe it's 2 in this case? Yes. Alright, so something that the instructor told me, and like, I've been having some troubles seeing sliding in the animation. And that's just more on the fact that I have really shit eyeballs. But I'm going to pull up round 4. Which is... Actually, no, that's the wrong one. Ignore... don't save. Get out here. So, this is Rolling Ball Practice 4th round. So if I allow the execution for this moment. Now, this is something that he pointed out to me that I didn't really notice initially. But when this thing is rolling, so you expect it to stay on, like, whenever the black part hits the point, you're expecting it to stay in roughly the same position. But in this case, you see how it hits here? And then immediately it, like, moves over. So it's supposed to, like in this instance, right? It's supposed to hit that spot, and then when it rolls forward, it's supposed to go back slightly. But if I go to this one, you see how it's like really weirdly moving about? And yeah, this one right here is the one that he really pushed. So that one's actually supposed to be probably around about here, the next frame. But instead, it's actually moved forward before it could roll correctly. And that's like that for all these other ones. So I'm going to have to change that up when I go to do this one. So for this, I am going to grab the rotation. I'm going to set keyframe here. Go to here, which is the ending frame here. And I want to rotate this. Actually, that's the wrong keyframe. I just realized it's actually along the y-axis I need to set this on. So yeah, you can see where it's like rotating here. So if I set this to frame 80 and set this to be, say, let's do 3 full rotations, so 980 I believe it is. 360, 720, 980, yeah. So 980. So now if we do this, that's going to roll forward. Now you can sort of see where it's sliding a bit here. Like here it's not so bad, but the further it moves along, the worse it's going to get. So once it gets to around about, say, frame 50, where I'd expect this to be absolutely chronically obvious. So it hits there. And that's like supposed to be slightly further in. And one good way to tell is to make sure that it's actually consistently hitting the middle of the black line every time. But it's not doing that in this case. So, like, it's hitting it here, but if you roll back to here, frame 53, 54, it's not hitting that middle, is what I've noticed that's pretty obvious. So, like, the sliding here is not as bad, but still kind of bad. So I'm going to normalize this, and I'm going to grab this up slightly. I'm going to drag it up probably like a few, probably right about there. That most likely works. So it lands here, and yeah, it sort of lifts up, but it's not sliding away. That one's okay, a bit better. Okay, so that's roughly what I'd expect that to be. So starting from this frame here, see how it just slowly starts up. Now, what's going to be really interesting, because I know the reason why it does this, like, weird thing where it slides about a bit when you add keyframes later, and it's because when you edit keyframes, so like for the assignment, there's a fourth keyframe. So there's one here, one here. There's actually a fourth keyframe in the middle, and it actually messes with this one here on like both axes. And it's going to become a little bit more obvious later. So like that one there is sliding. That one there, not so much. At least I'm pretty sure that's the case here. It's important to get this right because I know the old adage, practice makes perfect. That's not what practice does. What practice does is make permanence. And those are two very different words and two very different implications. I can't even go get something without someone just has to come with me and be in my room. Is it a cat? I hope it's a cat. Or at least I hope for your sake it's a cat. Alright, so it needs to overshoot a bit. Shadow? Aww. Shadow. Alright, so need to go forward a couple frames. And I need to... Actually, I do need to make this linear, don't I? Do I need to make this linear? Okay, here's the thing, right, chat? And I'm going to demonstrate this for everyone, but I'm not going to put too much stock into it. So you see how I've done that? So if I took off normalize for a second here, you can see that... Where is it? I need to like really zoom out to show this. So you see this one here, right? So this is the movement along the x-axis, and this really steep line here is the full rotation of said ball. If I click the normalize button, the lines are directly on top of each other, which means that the ball is technically, in fact, not sliding. It's gonna get worse from here, don't worry. So, I need to insert keyframe on the location channel. So I need to G, then hex that a bit. And this is where it starts to get a bit funky. So G and Y. So what I probably want to do is I want to... Y, a bit. Because this is what I meant by adding extra keyframes makes it all messy. So if I set the handle type to free, and then I add a keyframe a few moments later right here, see how it like moves it down? So that's why the animation gets out of alignment. Also, it seems that setting the handles does nothing in this case. So, insert keyframe, and then G the Y to move that up. Actually, I can just move these up. Alright. Guess this one actually just has to be straight up moved. Oh, itchy. Alright, so even further up. It should be just about right. And then a few frames later, insert keyframe, and then G for this one. I make sure it's in a good spot. Cool. Now this severely messes with the way that this curve is going to function. It doesn't look like it, like when you zoom out to see the full curve, it looks like basically nothing, but I can promise you it is anything but. So if I do this, so now I need to insert the keyframe. Y. We got that far. Okay, so it rolls to stop around here. But here's the thing, now it's sliding. So the actual slide is coming from, I think, I think it's actually coming from the rotation is where the slide's moving from. So if I move that just a little bit further down. Just a little bit more. Getting something. Smidge further. Looks like this is actually and then I want to have another frame on 90 where this is moved in. Just a couple frames. Okay, it's too much. So I zoom in on there. Okay, now that's not far enough. And this is the sort of thing that's going to drive me absolutely batshit insane. There's stuff like this. Actually, that needs to be moved down further. Even further than that. Okay, too far. Still sliding. So it comes to a stop here, which by the way, it's actually sliding a smidge here. So I'll need to... I do need to... I think I might need to move this back a bit. So how it's shooting past here. Or at least should be shooting past you just a smidge. Okay, and then this might need to be slightly better. Okay, not quite like that. I don't know why. Does anyone else think Scribble Notes with this song? Well, I don't know why, but the song vaguely reminds me of Scribble Notes. Okay, now I've got a better handle on what this end bit looks like. Alright, let's try this. Okay. It rolls back in the other direction. I do probably want to make this this way. No. Okay, it's probably over rotating now. Alright, so that definitely does need to be moved a bit further. And sort of see how it's sliding. I think that's almost okay enough. Because, like, as I probably said before, I have technically completed and succeeded in this assignment. It's just, I do want to make this as good as I can possibly get it. Okay, yeah, it's like sliding still. I feel like this is still sliding. It's probably over a bit. Okay, no, that's definitely sliding now. Maybe it actually needs to be slightly up. Okay. Now, I grab this. Nope. I only just want that one thing. Slightly up a bit more. Okay, I think that's visually decent enough. Alright, so now, observing this. So first frame, it's already obvious that the ball is sliding here. Actually, it might not be. Okay, that's definitely sliding a bit. So which side is this sliding from? So I know if I move these wrong, it's going to really mess up the rotation for everything else. I think that's okay. Or actually, no, it might be sliding too much still. It's like moving forward faster. So like, the expected movement is like this one here, right? Where it lifts off the ground but doesn't slide away. When I move this one, it slides away. Like, none of these are lifting off the ground. Maybe a bit more. That might work. Hmm. Starting to push it a bit on this rotation. Right. Okay, now it's just sliding further along. Like, look at that, it's over-rotating, it feels like. So now I have to readjust this to make it consistent. Smells like there's a huge kickback. Let's zoom out and have a quick look at it. Also, I feel like the end is still sliding a bit. I feel like again, this is just one of those things that I have to come back to later and have a look at it. A little bit unfortunate, really. Also, I can't tell if it's just me, but it feels like the ball is randomly elongating in the middle of rotating. Like, I know logically that's not the case, however, my brain, either that or my broken ass eyes, is just not functioning correctly. Okay, I feel like the rotation on this is off again. So if I do this, I think maybe... I think that's okay. Okay, I need to like turn these off, otherwise I can't see shit. Why does it feel like the ball is spinning way too fast? In fact, if anything, I feel like it's almost like it's lagging in the middle. I don't know if that's a me problem or if like the thing I'm doing here is just that bad. Like the job I'm doing here. I'm gonna try this. So if I start from frame 0, or frame 1 in this case. Okay, so doing that definitely makes it... So doing that definitely makes it do some weird stuff. Maybe scaling this next slightly might help. Oh, this might actually be it, huh? It might work. Ah, no. Okay, never mind. Maybe edging it slightly. Can't tell if this thing's sliding or not. I almost had it for a second there, but now my eyes are just deciding that they don't want to function the way that I want them to. Not unusual for me, to be honest. In fact, I'd go as far to say as I've actually over-rotated this now. Probably that much even. Okay, that seems to be a bit better. I think I definitely had it over-rotated before. Okay, it's actually rotating too far. Now that I think about it. But it's hard to decide whether something's being rotated too far or not far enough. Alright, back to here, I guess. So, comes to... Feels like it slides. Okay, now it's over-rotating. Like, bruh, make up your mind. So it rotates. Yeah, it feels like it slides still. Are we even, like, on the same frame at this point? Yeah, it's still frame 85. But for some reason, the rotation and the... If I look at this... So those are the same. So, obviously it's not going to be the location that's wrong, it's always going to be rotation in this case. So, ball rotates. Feels like an over-rotation. Because the point is to get to stop, obviously. Yeah, the kickback on that's a bit much. Feels like it just basically skids to a stop. Okay, now I know that that's not rotated enough. Okay, that definitely needs to be rotated more. At this point, I just have to edit this, like, while it's moving. Maybe around here. Okay, so what's moving more here? The rotation or the actual X movement? Okay, the rotation moves sooner from the looks. Alright, so goes into here. It actually rotates back correctly, I think. No, definitely not. So what is going wrong here? Like, I'm trying my best, chat, I swear, but this stupid board's going to get the better of me, and I'm just never going to stream again at this rate. Because I can't just keep doing practice on rolling and bouncing all the time. Like, it's true, like, for everyone else in chat, it is truly not that interesting. Start frame 80. Actually, this needs to start frame 60 for the movement. I almost want to check the normalize, but at the same time, that again, it's not the point of the exercise. The point of the exercise is to be able to deduce accurately what's gone wrong and be able to fix it. I wonder if the rotation needs to be changed a bit. I wonder if that's why it's doing this. That's sliding. So let's move it to a point where I just know it's overdoing it. Okay, so that's rotating way too much now. That's the point. Maybe just a bit more. What is going wrong here? I don't know why, but my brain is just like, there is something wrong here, fix it. And I ask it, hey, what's wrong? And it's like, fix it, fix it. Like, come on, tell me what the goddamn issue is so I can fix the damn problem. I'll tell you what, animation is not good for people with ADHD. Okay, I'm just gonna check both of these. Oh, the handle size is on a bit different. That might be why. Now that could be a problem. Okay, that should be alright now. Alright, now time to fix the rest of the stupid animation. Alright, so I think I probably need to move these. Like, I don't want to move them too far, you know? Because otherwise, the entire thing could just fall apart at the seams right now. Right, it's like, it's looking a bit better here. But if I check these, I just know for a fact it's going to be wrong. Wait. It's like only very marginally off. What the hell? I managed to get... Huh? That's like borderline perfect, is it not? The fuck? It's like borderline perfect. Okay, I'm gonna like save and quit out of this and just come back to it later because this is going to drive me absolutely fruit loops. Okay. Rolling. Oh. Fifth. I can spell, I promise, chat. Alright, let's do some Spyro-related shenanigans, yeah? Because I have still got a scene to build. Where is... Do I have this saved as Sorceress Battle? I do, right? Just want to double check. Alright, so... if I set this to material preview... hopefully Blender will not get too salty with me. Now, I'm actually going to set this before anything else. Oh no, it's going to do the thing. Blender! Quit your shit! Please, I'm begging you. For once in your life, just do your goddamn job. It's going to be a piece, isn't it? Alright. Okay, there we go. So, I am going to set this to... where is it? Oh, it is on Simplify. Okay, set that to 0. So now, when I click on this, it won't break everything. Alright, so last I had this going, I had this thing in the background, which is the black hole for the skybox. Now, the only issue with this is it seems that... oh, right, it's because the light is affecting it, right? So if I made this so the light didn't affect it, it might work a bit better. But it's already set to non-shadowed. Okay, diffuse. It's like... if I move this back... move it back far enough. So there's like some space. Oh wait, that's right. I actually changed this like outside of stream. I changed the skybox to be different. So instead of it being like 2 internal skyboxes, I actually have this set to be a color instead. Just a flat color. So now... yeah, that does it. Now, I do know the original skybox. If I look at this. Midnight Mountain skybox. Oh, actually, that's the wrong one. It's, Spyro skybox. So it has, this was actually surprisingly accurate for its time. It has a, what's it called? An accretion disk? Hang on, I'm just gonna drag this off screen in case this shows me anything It is called an accretion disk, right? Yeah, here we go. So, like, it's shockingly accurate for its time. It does have an accretion disk behind it. So, the question I now ask is, how the hell do I make an accretion disk in Blender? Like, how do I go about doing this? Like, the most obvious one would be to use, like, an ellipse or something like that. Or just, like, another circle, scale it up and give it some transmission. So I'll just do just that then, I suppose. So if I go into this, Shift D, grab it Z slightly, scale to Shift Z. Now I set the mission to like 3 or something. Oh wait, of course, I need to separate this out. This. So I can just have this in the back. Now this is like a, I won't say necessarily an odd color, but it is quite pale. So I'm going to probably just tend this a bit. Well, first I should probably give it some transmission. And then if I actually go into this mode here, and then I think it's, I need to faff with the alpha here. Like, I don't want it to be too bright. Here's the thing, chat. So, reopening... Just reopening one of these for a moment. Like, this is actually an ellipse. So if I scale this out in the X, and then scale it in the Y, that should be okay, I guess. Because, like, the problem is that it has a lot of fade on the edges. I'm surprised that Blender doesn't have a option for gradients. It probably does, and I just haven't seen it yet. So if I make this, like, a really pale yellow, like borderline white at that point yellow, I set this to 0.001. Okay, too far. 5? Good work. Unless there's like some other effect that I can do in the background. Oh wait, there is a ability to use gradient. What am I doing? Alright, let's set this back up. The emission is 0. And a ramp. What I need to do is I need to map this. So, Control T. If I map it to object, or otherwise maybe even UVs. Okay, no, definitely object. I could actually possibly, instead of using the gradient texture, I could use... Where is it? Not Voronoi, wave texture. And instead of using bands, I can use rings. And faff about with it, yeah, until it does this. There we go. And then I can mess about with the scale and whatnot until I am satisfied with it. So it's going to have like a pale blue appearance around the edges, and then the internal is going to have a more yellowed tint to it. So if I mess about with this now, well, set it to like all the way dark blue, just so I can see what's going on. Detail scale. Alright, there we go. Hopefully Blender doesn't get too shirty with me for doing this. So I can do that. And then scale this out. What's interesting is I can actually do all these different types. I wonder if triangle's not really going to help here. So I'll just keep it on waves for now. I think that this is a really neat effect, so I might stick with this for now. Distortion. Okay, distortion is too much. How do I do this? Detail roughness. What if I set this to off? Okay, so distortion needs to be set like that. And maybe distortion needs to be set up just a smidge more. Okay, there we go. And using that, I now set this to like a very bright pale blue. And then the internal, so I can actually just set this to be further along. And then have this like set to slightly darker orange. So now, if I enable this... but that's the issue, right? So the light refracts off that and just becomes an annoyance. So I don't know if turning the transition off would help in this case. So what I can do is I can actually change the color and strengthen this to be about like 5. The problem is like it doesn't look nearly as good. So I wonder if like even just removing these two would be fine, but I do want the black hole in the background almost. Alright, whatever, let's just do this for now. I want to set up the like the scene layout more or less. So if I set this one up here, so set like very much in this third here. So I'm gonna have this is medium point, right? Yep. So Z. So the idea is to have Scythe crouching and like having the shield up in an active block. Also, I just realized that her feet are not nearly close to being on the ground here. So if I move the camera down... Ah, now that's an issue, right? Okay. So keep that for now. And then pose mode. G. Actually, I won't bother with the rotation for now. Yes, I will bother with the rotation for now. Alright, so... It's just the shield I won't deal with for the second. So if I rotate this to be roughly in this position, and then, like, how would you brace this? You'd probably be on the back foot. Like, the back foot would be the same as the shield, I think. So if I GGZ, like, move that center of mass down. So, like that. And then have her arm raised up. Probably have her head turned away, because obviously, like, if you're taking, like, a particularly strong blow, you don't really want your head being in the way of said blow. So... XX, just... Probably even, have the arm turned. Because obviously, like, the shield's going to be on that part of the arm. Now, where would this land for the rotation for the elbow? Okay, yeah, that's exactly where I'd want that rotation to be, basically. So have this rotated. And then have this arm rotated back a bit. So obviously, like, all the hands are going to be close in this, because this is an active war zone. Having fingers hanging out around the place is probably going to be a not so great idea. So, pose mode. Probably have character leaning back a bit. Have the back leaned back. So, like, it's going to be almost directly upwards. Which one is this? Y? So then, this one here. So yeah, that would be the correct position for the arm. Hilariously enough, the body is clipping through shield. I wonder if it would be more accurate to have, instead of the character leaned back holding the attack, it would be more accurate to have her crouched underneath the shield. So if I... Okay, I'm just gonna Alt-G and R all this. I'm gonna try and parent the shield itself to the arm. So have these, move this around until it's just sitting in her arm. So move that in the Y. Now at this point, I can... Alright, I do know how to do this. So if I go into the bone collections here, so I want... Which collection do I want here? Okay, none of these seem to actually show me anything. Maybe further down? Also, I just realized that for some reason my character's mouth is doing a weird, like a really weird thing. But anyway, that's not what I'm here for. So if I check all of these, okay, none of those are the layers I'm looking for. So I think those are all bone layers, right? But if I try parenting it to anything else, it's not going to really do a whole hell of a lot. So where is the collection for the arm bones? Because I don't think I can get away with just parenting this to, say, the lower arm. I might be able to, we'll see. So if I grab this, go into object mode, Control P and bone specifically. Now if I go into pose mode, okay, that actually does work. Alright, good to know, I suppose. I thought it wouldn't, for some weird reason. So if I move the character to be all the way down, this one, make sure the foot's actually contacting the ground. Now I want the body to lean away from the attack. So what I need to do is I need to drag this one out so it's relatively consistent. I actually need to drag this one in, I think. Rotate that Z. And then this one here. So 90 degrees. Raise this up. And then where is the... So I want the arm position to be here, but I want the actual character itself to be crouched underneath it. So what I'm probably going to have to do is I'm probably going to have to rotate this to be much higher up. And then, like, I can just crouch her underneath the... Probably help if I actually did this properly. So that's like a good start, but like I'd have to move this. Like move her head so it's rotated away from the shield. That's like way too far though. And also her hand is clipping directly inside her head. Okay, it's like almost there. So I need to probably rotate this, I think. Ah, but it's clipping through the head again. Like, how do I raise this up far enough as to where my head's not going to be clipping through the shield here? Probably need to lower this effect. Yeah, there we go. So, like, the shield is going to be directly parallel, well, almost directly parallel to the body. Oh, don't mean to do that. So obviously, like, her head's going to be leaned away from that. So just rotate this around. Honestly, that's a pretty cool pose. I need to move this around just a bit. Let's see. I guess here. And then probably even pull this down slightly just to make sure the leg is actually on the ground. Okay, slightly up again, I think. There we go. Now the foot here is actually rotated in a way that I don't really want it to be. So where is the... I believe is it this one? No, it's not that one. There's like a specific thing in the leg that I can rotate as needed. Okay, it's the forward kinetics for that. But these are set to inverse connects by default, thankfully. Maybe if I Alt-R this. Okay, it's actually along the R axis for this one. And grab that. Okay, make sure that's planted. Alright, so we've got the character leaned in here. And then I wonder if having Herobrine in this corner actively like trying to attack while the sorceress is in the middle would probably be the maybe the more for want of a better term, epic looking version of this. Alright, so if I grab our favorite lunatic over here, local creepypasta man, A-Alt-G-R that, and then this one here, Alt-R. Y. Sure, it's actually on 90. 5 degrees. Make sure that's consistent. Okay, yeah. Grab that, make sure it's like right in his hand. Oh, of course, because it's rotated like that. So that should be a good position for it. It's like slightly off in terms of rotation. I don't like that. Why is it like that? It's off by like 5 degrees. Okay. Alright, now if I do this, I actually need to drag this down slightly further. And the only reason for that is obviously like his hand's going to be wrapped around it. And his hand starts from slightly further down. In fact, I'd even go as far as to move it all the way down here. Alright, G. Might even just at the local. There we go. Now I need to parent this to something here. Let's go into compose mode. Let's parent it to this one, I think. So grab this one, Control P, and refix the bone. Now if I move this, it'll move that, but it won't move alongside the fingers here. So now I can just have these wrapped around it. But then I can actually probably just move this relative to the positioning. Yeah, just positioning in world space. Just move that relative. There we go. We have Herobrine holding an axe. I feel threatened already. Now, it is pose time. I grab him and just move him. Where is he? He's just floating in the air. Okay, so needs to be rotated to Z and then moved over this way. He also actually needs to have his feet on the ground if you would please. While the floating effect is kind of cool, it's not exactly what we're aiming for here. So probably around about here. And maybe just rotate this a bit more. Actually, no, that's a good position. I'm gonna have this rotated back. Rotate that one forward. That's the side of it. And now we're gonna have a nice little callback to the the first set of images, where instead of Cyclonic pointing at Herobrine, we have Herobrine pointing at the sorceress who's trying to kill the pair of them. Might actually even make this a run. think... Hang on, I need to check out run cycle references. Key poses of a run cycle. So yeah, this is like almost... What are you loading, Blender? Stop that. There we go. So like this is almost a 45-degree angle, and then this one's actually all the way back. Probably even bring this down slightly so it's actually contacting the ground. Yeah, that is correct. So the arm would be all the way back. And then this one would be forward. So yeah, like, instead of pointing, Herobrine's just gonna fucking sprint at her. Make sure he's not clipping in. And have him looking straight up. So how do we feel about this? I'll probably say that the rotation for this one actually probably needs to be out that way more. Yeah, that seems a bit more reasonable. I don't know why, but it just feels more correct. Make sure this is extended here. Okay, so we have one moving person, one person not moving, and then obviously the one floating in the air. Probably might want to adjust the edit on this though, on this camera. So what I can do is I can actually just throw up rule of thirds on here. And then I can view it through here. Is it visible? Barely, I think. So there's supposed to be a composition guide here. If I move it here, why is this not showing up? Strange. The others aren't showing up either. There's the active camera. It's almost like it just doesn't want to do its job. Which, I mean, understandable, but still, bruh. So, camera guides is enabled, so I don't know why it's refusing to show the thirds like I want it to. It's not showing any of the others too, like all of them are disabled. I wonder if there's some setting that's preventing it from doing what I want it. Oh yes, I'll just have to figure that out some other time. It's currently getting late. It's almost 6 PM, and that's when I said to myself that I was going to end off the stream. So there we go. Save incremental on that. Now I don't think there's anyone I can raid. I'll have a look. Let me just quickly have a look. See here. No one I know, it seems. I could look at Twitch directly, but I feel like that might just be a small waste of time here. Anyway, I shall see y'all in the next stream. Why this song? Okay, no, I'm not ending the stream on this song. Okay, that works. Anyway, I shall see y'all next time.